Does supercar maintenance have to be expensive and difficult, or can the average DIYer do maintenance at home? My R35 GTR is due for an oil change, and while its supercar status is up for debate, we're going to see how its maintenance compares to other common sports cars we've had around. Follow along for a comprehensive DIY guide and our thoughts on maintaining a car like this. In terms of materials, it is pretty straightforward. Nissan recommends 6 quarts of Mobil 1 OW40, but I'm going to be using Amsoil today. You'll need a Nissan oil filter as well as the oil drain plug washer. On top of that, you'll need a ratchet set, maybe a little plastic kind of pry tool for some of the clips in the bottom of the car, an oil filter wrench, something to drain your oil into, and a way to lift your car up. We're going to be using quick jacks today, but you can also use a traditional jack or jack stands. All in, you're looking at about $140, which is pretty reasonable considering that this is a supercar to most. You might be asking yourself, why Amsoil if Nissan recommends Mobil 1 OW40 Synthetic? Well, when I was buying this car, one of the few things I really took from the previous owner is how much he loved Amsoil. He swears by these products, and that's currently what's in the car. And obviously when I bought it, I did some research. And on GTR forums and for other cars, Amsoil has a pretty big following. A lot of people claiming lower temperatures, better performance. So with those kind of reviews, I wanted to give it a try. On paper, the R35 GTR oil change is pretty standard. So let's get the car up on a lift and get to it.
Proctologist.
Yes, get ready for your exam. So I have never actually looked under this car. This will be my first time underneath. The thing I hated about my E92 was the jack points. You have to use those little jack point adapter things for BMWs. GTR, it should just be 2 little solid points and it'll be very easy to jack up. I will already say this is going to be lovely compared to the E92. These jack points are not only bigger, but they are more defined. Funny thing, chat. That singular pipe right there is the thing that runs water to our entire house.
How did they screw this up so bad?
And here it is, dangling and jiggling. Whew. Don't be scrawny. Excellent. The car's up. The hardest part of this oil change has been lifting, getting the car up off the ground. Why? We simply do not have enough power to propel this car into the air. The quick jacks were getting stuck in the middle and we were like, what is going on? Are the quick jacks broken? Is the car too heavy? And after lots of research, we turned the lights off. And with the lights off, the car lifted with no issue. So if you're gonna be working on your GTR or just use quick jacks in general, have power.
Yeah.
So the most different thing about a GTR oil change compared to a standard car is usually I'm under the car and I would already see my oil filter and my drain plug, but there's all this plastic sort of shielding underneath the GTR, so we're gonna have to take that off. There's just a few 10 millimeters as well as some plastic clips that we're gonna have to pry off here with the flathead. So I'm gonna go ahead and kind of pull this off. And there are a lot of these little clips down here too. These plastic sort of plug things you see over here, these are actually hiding 10 millimeters. So when I take this off, there's gonna be some 10 millimeters under here. Already coming off a little bit. So it looks like we just need the remainder of these bottom little clips, and I think we should be good. These clips are pretty easy to pull, to my surprise. And these are sort of one of those clips where there's a little kind of nail looking thing pushing into another little plastic clip that sort of expands out. So all you have to do is sort of pull the head of the nail off. There's another one. Why is this different? You see? don't know if you can see that, but this is the only clip of this variety down here. And maybe this is a replacement because the previous owner broke one, but there you go. Now, I recommend closing your eyes. Okay, here we go. Excellent. Oil drain plug, oil filter.
How does it feel to be back from the cave?
Pretty good. I was a little worried that was going to be more complicated than I anticipated, but it was not. Now we get to release our gases, and then we get to drain our oil. So now that we're under here, we have our little trusty oil drain pan, and we can just unscrew the drain bolt and just kind of let it happen. I believe this is a 14 millimeter, so let's give it a rip.
What do you think the dealer would quote you for an oil change on a GTR?
I bet it would be, that's actually a good piece to add to the video. I'll add it down in the video in the corner. I bet it's a few $100s. I bet it's not too crazy. Oil changes, I generally don't like doing them because it's just generally a similar price and and way more convenient to have someone else do it. But if you have the quick jacks and I like getting to know the car, it's kind of fun.
Yeah.
But I think it's more of a pain than it usually is a benefit. All right. Ooh, 10 out of 10 kind of job.
Look, a little black almost.
It's a little dark. This oil has not been changed in a few years, but there's been very little miles since the last oil change.
Interesting.
It's not that black.
No, I think
The lighting makes it look very black, but in this lighting, you can see it is pretty light and still kind of brownish, goldenish red. And he's got the Amsoil oil filter.
I bet he bought the same kit that you did.
Yep. That guy, the guy I bought this car from, raced Lotuses, and he swore by Amsoil when I talked to him on the phone. He mentioned Amsoil like 100 times when I was going back and forth with this guy. And he was in a different state, so I only ever talked to him on the phone, but he absolutely swore by this stuff. Just me, my friend, and my car watching the piss.
Car taking a piss.
It's kind of boring down here because you can't see anything since everything is so shielded.
Oh.
There's just nothing.
Look at your limited slip differential out and work. Neat.
So with the car drained, we're gonna put the drain plug back on. The weird thing about this car, I actually purchased a new bolt and washer from Nissan. You don't have to replace the bolt. I just wasn't sure what this one would look like. But the washer is kind of weird, if you can see that. It is sort of asymmetrical and it is sort of a single-use thing. So you have to replace this. You cannot use the same washer. And the wider part of this, you can see it's not symmetrical. The wider part of this is going to go first towards the head of the bolt, and it sort of just kind of screws on here. Just like that. And there is a torque spec on this. It is 25 foot-pounds, so we're going to reinstall this and I'll torque it down right after with our torque wrench. All right, let's get this puppy reinstalled. Again, the fat part of the drain plug or washer towards the head of the bolt, and let's put that back in. And I said 25 foot-pound, which translates to something in Newton meters.
How helpful.
That's good, 25. So time to take the oil filter off. I think this is going to be slightly more terrible, just because it's in a weird position on the bottom of the car. Okay, time for the old hand. This is gonna get oil everywhere. Oh man. Oh god.
Oh no.
Oh god, this is the worst position ever. Oh my god. Why is it so many threads? Oh my god. Oh. We have our Amsoil filter. We have a little bit of our actual oil itself. And what we're going to do is pre-fill the filter a little bit, so when we turn the car in for the first time, there's a little oil circulating about. And then for putting on the filter, there is a torque spec, but I think hand tight and then like a 3/4 turn should do the trick. And that's what the Amsoil box is saying to us as well. So let's get to it. And we will also lube the little gasket. Look at that. Juicy.
Oh, that's coming right out when you lift it sideways.
Oh yeah. There's not much oil. The neck of this, oh, there we go. Ooh, now we're really in it. There we go. That is coming right out. I didn't fill it that much. All right, filter time. Again, hand tight, 3/4 turn. Try not to spill. Pretty hand tight. 3/4. That's about the extent of my strength. I think the extent of Wes's strength is probably also sufficient.
Excellent torque spec.
Hi. Now we can add the oil in. We've taken it out, we can put it back. Not the same oil, new oil. All right, the engine oil filler is right here. And it says Mobil 1, and we say, more like Mobil 2, we're gonna use some Amsoil. This should take about 5 3/4 quarts, and each of these little Amsoil canisters is 1, so we'll be here for a while. You have to be very quiet when you're pouring oil or it won't work out.
It'll escape.
1 quart. All right, our last step is just to confirm we have added the correct amount of oil, and then we can kind of close everything up. So, as I mentioned earlier, the thing with the GTR is this little H, you want to be 10 millimeters below that little H for maximum performance.
Yippee.
You can button her up and we should be good. All right, so with the oil actually changed, we need to reset the oil indicator on the car. And funnily enough, it's about time because I just got the warning when I drove last. So let's put the ignition on and our little screen will boot up. So you can see engine oil due for maintenance. So we're gonna reset this light by pressing the and oil filter. By pressing the info button, we go to maintenance, engine oil. And the interval you can actually change on this car, which I think is super interesting. So I am going to change it from 5,000 and I'm going to be a little bit more aggressive with my intervals. I'm going to do 3. And we just go ahead and reset distance. That's it. Oil filter light reset. We've done it. It is much later in the night, unfortunately, but most of that was our own waffling and not actually the oil change process on the GTR. That was really easy. I've changed oil on mostly BMWs before, and I think relative to that, the only main difference is all of that undercarriage paneling you have to remove. That maybe took 10, 15 minutes to take off, and then it's pretty much just gonna be your standard oil change. I don't think I'm gonna be going to the dealer for my oil changes anytime soon. Again, we have quick jack, so it's a little bit easier, assuming your power is functional. For $140, this is a pretty reasonable oil change, so this is something I will definitely be doing again. Anyways, we hope you enjoyed watching the oil change and getting to know the GTR a little bit. We had a lot of fun, and we'll see you next one. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe.